All right, y'all. So ended the week here, and I gotta say, for the first time this week, I'm frustrated. I'm very frustrated, and the only reason why is I get frustrated when stuff happens that's completely out of my control. Today was one of those days. There wasn't a whole lot in pre-market this morning. We had some pretty good setups out of the bell on OSRH that I tried to make something happen on, and well, let's talk through it because today was very frustrating and it was a flat day. I'm not red today. It's a flat day. I didn't trade poorly, but something out of my control happened, and you can probably see right here on the screen. So it wasn't much in pre-market this morning. The list really just consisted of literally just EPSM and OSRH. And so OSRH was top of my list here to watch into the open today. And so this puts in place this lower high. Look at this. Lower high. We come into market open, and then I try to play this here on the break of VWAP. And I take risking off the low because it's looking like it wants to get squeezing up through VWAP. Well, it gets squeezing up through VWAP. I get my stop loss raised here above entry, but then what do? I see it pull back over VWAP, and I try to get an add here for the continuation higher. Because look, nothing else was moving. And I'm like, all right, we just cleared over VWAP. We have range back up into the pre-market highs here. So let me try to get an add for that next leg higher, that extension higher. And I should have known better today, in my opinion. It looked amazing, don't get me wrong. And here's my thing. It's all hindsight, because here's the thing. I already took profit here. I took a half out and I raised my stop loss. And so worst case, if it wasn't for this bad fill, this wouldn't have been an issue because even if this was to reverse and head back down to my stop loss, my raised stop loss, worst case scenario here would have been a break-even trade. But the issue was I got a pretty bad fill. And so this actually reversed rather quickly. This reversed and pretty much knifed off this high here. If you pair that with a couple cents of spread, and you get the scenario here where I get a pretty bad fill. So it's pretty frustrating. And the fact that I turned red because of this here this morning, I had to come back from it on everything else that we traded, which we'll break down as well. And it tries to go again. And I'm taking pullbacks. You can see here, taking pullbacks, trying to get that leg higher. It tries to break higher here. You can see fails to continue higher. So I take a full exit there. And overall, this section was break even. This section was small red because of the add over VWAP. And so on this stock today, I am red on it. And so that's such a shame to me because it was out of my control. I tried to get aggressive because it looked amazing and it just flips on you. And it's like, what do you do from there? And so I actually took 3 more trades today. We'll break it down. I took CCTG, and today wasn't all that bad, I will say. We actually turned the day into a decent day, but even this was looking really good. And you can see here, price action wasn't fantastic. I still played it quite well because what we had happening here is we had these higher lows getting put in here. It was getting really tight off the 9 and 20 moving average. And so as I noticed that and how this is continuing to get tighter and tighter, I'm looking for the squeeze up through this pre-market high. As we see volume start to come in here on the retest of that high, I get an add here risking off this low to see if I couldn't get squeezing up through the high. And I got some profits taken. You can see here I took it from 112 to 118 or from 112 to about 116, excuse me. And I get a decent move here, and I get majority sold underneath the highs, and I'm looking to see if it wants to get breaking higher, but then it rejects, and I take a full profit. And so, against very small green here, I try to make it work with, we had nice volume on this, and you figure this has a 5 million share float. It met our criteria. You can see on my momentum scan here. And so I had that, went on over to IVDA, made a couple bucks. Of course, after that, played some CCTG. This also was a pretty good setup. It actually gave me a decent move, but it just didn't get any follow through. You see here, big 3-candle move to the upside. Not a whole lot of volume on this initial move, but we actually had some nice volume on candles 2 and 3, where you get this big extension to the highs here, and we see it pull back off of VWAP. I take the first pullback, risking off of VWAP for the leg back up to retest this high of day, and I actually got that. I was quite surprised here, but I was actually able to play this pretty well from 31 back to 34 for about a 10-cent play. I mean, 10% play. I'm happy with this. You playing it all. Then it pulls back again. I snag a reentry. And again, sell back up into the highs, looking to see if we couldn't get squeezing back higher. Of course, we don't get that. So overall, in this second trade, I'm pretty much break even on this. But this one I have a nice win on. So overall, I have some small profit on this today. But again, it moved quite well. Pretty predictable and pretty easy to manage. Outside of that, I had MNDR, which MNDR today was okay. It definitely left a lot to be desired here too, because you have this really wide price action. And the issue that I've been seeing this week is spreads are no joke, and that is a fact. Spreads have been a mess. Spreads been an absolute mess. And so this starts going. This is, of course, on the pre-market watch list. And, I was watching this morning. I'll show you in the 5-minute time frame. It's a bit easier to see what happened here. where this sort of breaks trend from pre-market, and we see this really nice look. Look at this. So we break trend, we also get breaking over VWAP, and then we also put in place this bottom here. Look at this. We have this range from pre-market here, where you have that confluence to sort of up. And so, to risk off the bottom of this range, we have that confluence of support there, and I'm looking for the range back up into these highs from pre-market. Price action here sucked. Spread sucked. Price action sucked. So I kept it kind of wide. And you can't really see the first buy here. It's sort of hiding behind where I took some size out. Hiding right here beneath this red candle. So I took the 1 minute pullback off the 9. And I was able to do something here. This little double top breakout where it's sort of new high. It pulls back and, just getting off the low from pre-market. And thankfully I was able to stay in this for the leg up higher. And so overall, you couldn't be too fussed with this. I played it from 448 back up into the 470s. As it starts to, again, curl back up through its highs, I just trail off the 90 MA and, again, raise my stop off the previous 1 minute candle close. You can see, again, trailed off the 90 MA and eventually took a full exit off the, break higher here where it tries to get squeezing higher and I take a full exit. So, yeah, again, I can't be too fussed with it. I traded this one quite well. It was just really today was a time where, I tried to get the add over VWAP on OSRH and we didn't get that continuation. You can even see here where I got that out on the 10-second time frame. I'll zoom back and show you. And this looked so good. Look at this. And so it breaks out. It was right here on the 933 candle. And so you're going to say, what the heck? How did that not follow through? And that's exactly what I'm saying too. Because look at this. We have this perfect setup where, again, I get to move higher here. We get breaking up through VWAP, which in this case was at 934 this morning after market open. And so I get an add right here after it confirms off the pullback for the break up higher. It breaks and then boom. Instant crash. You can see in 10 seconds there, it's done. So, it is what it is. I did what I could, did what I, saw out there, and, it's all we could do. But this week was a green week. Today was the only day that I can, really say it was a bit tricky. I mean, a bit frustrating because it was something out of my control. Yesterday was quite easy. I had 3 wins and 1 loss yesterday. The day before, again, I had pretty much all wins, 1 loss. The day before that, 3 wins, 2 losses. This was the only other flat day this week. Was that day right there. But, even on Monday, we, again, did perfectly fine as well with a small green day. And so, it's frustrating, but that's just the market right now, and it pays to be disciplined. It pays to sit back. It pays to know when to sit back. The fact is most traders don't know what stocks to be watching, but that is why it is so important to join these live streams, trade with us, and let's just keep on keeping on. Take it day by day. And hope for some cleaner opportunities next week as this fear starts to hopefully subside over the weekend. People get a breath of fresh air and get refreshed. As always, make sure to subscribe if you did learn something from this video. And as always, make sure to claim your 7-day free trial for an awesome week ahead into Thanksgiving holiday. I'm looking forward to it. Next week should be pretty fun. People off of work, maybe they bring some volume back into the market. So should be an awesome time. And I'll see y'all there. So let's get to it.